Welcome back, guys, to another Warcraft Total War faction preview, and this time we're doing another undead faction. We are doing the Scourge, of course, and this faction has a huge unit roster, so this is going to be a long one. But a lot of the units are the same as the Forsaken, but they do have a lot of other units as well. So let's first talk about their weakest unit, the zombies. I would say these guys are completely worthless. 2 attack, 2 defense, and a thing that isn't mentioned here is that they move excruciatingly slowly. Now some people might say, well, they might be good cannon fodder because you get 200 of them. I'd say some of the other units that the Scourge has are better cannon fodder. So, for example, the next unit, the Ghouls, they only cost a little bit more, but they have a significantly higher attack, they have a higher defense. It's low, however, they have the Frighten Nearby Enemy Infantry trait, which is really good. So, I would really recommend using the Ghouls as cannon fodder. Also, the Ghouls don't have that defect that the zombies have, where the zombies move extremely slowly. The Ghouls, I think they move at regular infantry speed, so definitely recruit ghouls instead of zombies. Next up we have Banshees. I've talked about them a lot in the Forsaken video. They're very, very good spellcasters because in addition to having a pretty decent missile attack, they also have a very high defense and they have 3 hit points. So they're one of the most durable spellcasters in the whole mod. That makes them valuable. They also have the Frighten Nearby Enemy trait, and there's 30 of them, which is pretty high for a spellcaster unit. That makes them more effective than a lot of other ones. Another spellcaster unit, the Cold Wraiths, they're not bad. However, their missile attack is a little bit low for a spellcaster unit with only 10 troops. That is a little bit low, but they're okay. I would say they're like mid-tier spellcaster. Then we have Undead Sergeants. They're okay. Their attack is pretty low, their defense is low, but they're very cheap. So as an early unit, they're not bad. Then we have the Skeleton Spearmen, which are just like a worse version of the Undead Sergeants, so don't get these guys if these guys are available. Then we have Undead Halberds. They're very good. Armor penetration, spear wall, however the attack is low. So maybe as an early unit they're fine, but then later on place them with something better. Then we have the Necromancers, and they're surprisingly good. It says their missile attack is 15, but when I've used them, somehow it's seemed higher. For some reason, there's something special about their attack. I'm not sure what it is. I would say they're definitely worth recruiting. I think they might have like a AoE type of magic attack, like they poison the ground, which would make sense for Necromancers. They're spreading the plague. Definitely worth recruiting. And then we have these really cool looking spellcasters, the liches. Some of the general's bodyguards of the Scourge actually use them as their general's bodyguard. They're very, very effective. They frighten nearby enemy. Their missile attack is high. Their defense is just like the Banshees. Their defense and hit points are very high for a spellcaster unit, so they're durable. Then we have some undead trolls. They're not that good, honestly, but they do have the frighten nearby enemy infantry, so, and they're cheap. Maybe good cannon fodder. Then we have skeleton soldiers. They're horrible. Never get them. honestly like not worth recruiting at all. And same is true for the human skeletons. There's nothing really redeeming about them. Then we have the undead soldiers. They're not bad. I mean, the attack and the defense are low, but they're pretty cheap. And then the Undead Champions are significantly better. 10 attack, 13 defense, and armor penetration. And then I've talked about these guys before in the Forsaken video, the Dismounted Death Knights. They're very, very good. Definitely worth recruiting. 2k, that's a bargain deal. They have armor penetration, they lower enemy morale, high attack, high defense, and 3 hit points. Now we're going to look at some Undead of Reichel units. So these guys, they're pretty good. You only get 20 of them. However, they have 19 attack. They're very good shock troops. 19 attack, 21 defense, 6 hit points, and they lower enemy morale. And then these guys are pretty similar. 18 attack, 17 defense, 5 hit points. Also very good. And then their elite unit, the Undead Champions, even better. 25 attack, 23 defense, 8 hit points, and they lower enemy morale. Very, very good shock troops. And speaking of shock troops, we have the Abominations. I've talked about them before. 25 attack, 24 defense, 7 hit points, and they lower enemy morale. Like very, very strong unit. And they're classified as heavy infantry, so you can use them to climb up ladders, siege towers. You can very easily take the walls of a city with some Abominations. And then the Skeleton Archers, I've talked about them before as well, and I mentioned how they're actually much better than you would expect based on these stats, and I think one reason is because you get so many of them. Most archer units you get like 120, maybe 150, but these guys you get 175, and they're very, very cheap to recruit. And now let's look at the AI army, because the Scourge unit roster is so massive. I had to have a second army. So this is a very tragic example. The Frostworm has amazing stats, but unfortunately it is bugged. Its missile attack usually doesn't work, so it's a real shame, but I'm sure eventually it will get fixed. Then we have the Skeleton Horse Archers. They're okay. I guess they're pretty good for how much they cost, 530, and Horse Archers tend to be pretty good in Medieval too. Then we have these guys, Crypt Fiends, and I would say they're not really worth it. Pretty low attack and defense for 1.2k. They're classified as light cavalry, which makes sense. Then we have the Gargoyles, and I would say they're good, but they're not worth the 4k. So maybe if you have as much money as you want, it's worth it. Their attack is low, but their defense is good, and they have 2 hit points, and they frighten nearby enemy. But 4k is kind of asking too much for light cavalry. Then we have the General's Bodyguard. So most of your generals will look like this. They're Death Knights, and they're a very good General's Bodyguard. 11 attack, 24 defense, 2 hit points, and they frighten nearby enemy. I would say one of the better general bodyguards in this mod. Then we have some more light cavalry, the Skeleton Raiders. They're okay. 6 attack, 11 defense. They move pretty quickly. And then we have the Crypt Lords, and they are very good. 22 attack, very high attack for cavalry, 22 defense, and 8 hit points. They're a little bit expensive, but I think they're worth it. Very, very good unit. Then we have the Scourge Colossus, which is just extremely good. 23 attack, 40 defense, 12 hit points. It inspires your friendly troops, it scares away enemy troops, and it's only 4K. That's a good deal. Then we also have this is a special unit. So this is a custom General's Bodyguard just for Arthas. So you can see him right here. Very good character model. Looks pretty HD. Frostmourne in his hand, and he has these OG Death Knights as his bodyguard unit. The original Death Knights from, I think, Warcraft 1. They're orc spirits inside of dead human bodies. And it's very good. 12 attack, 23 defense, 2 hit points, frightens nearby enemy, and you get to look at Arthas, so that's a nice bonus. And yeah, I think that is it. I think we covered all of them, unless something is hiding in these trees, but no, I think I got all of them. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like, helps the video a lot. Subscribe if you want to see more Warcraft faction previews. I'm going to be doing at least 1 or 2 more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.